Hey, this is a review by Norm. So, kind of giving my two senses in here about kind of the stuff that's happening, stuff that I've been kind of jumping into, like understanding people, understanding their qualities of life, where they come from, how's it going to work out, pan out, as it were. Specifically for my culture, black culture, race, stuff like that. The biggest thing that I'm starting to notice, and I'm having a hard time not seeing because it is always like a revolving door. Like I go right back to it. Is it's everything that's happening within our bubble, and it's also those that are pushing us back into our bubble. And when I say this, it's for two purposes. It's for my culture, my race to start understanding why they're stuck where they're stuck. I was stuck before to where it's like I didn't think I was going to amount to anything. I didn't think I was going to have anything, and I didn't think I was going to be anything. When I was younger, and I'm going to be quite honest with that and blunt. Um, but then I started. I guess I stopped listening to the BS. I stopped listening to people that said, black people have it hard. Black people, they were, you know, slaves for 400 years, repressed for 400 years, taken against our will for 400 years, and yada, yada, yada. And, I'm not like slacking it off like it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, I understand it, but I'm able to read. Like, I'm able to adapt. I know how to figure stuff out. I'm not the smartest person. I have the wherewithal, and I teach a lot of people that it's like have have the mindset that you are going to be able to do this and complete this project. It might not be done right the first time, it might not be done perfect the next time, but sooner or later you're going to figure it out to become a master of your craft. Um, and that's something that isn't taught. That's something that's not told. It's always, hey, just do good with your grades. You know, hell, what was said to me once? Well, you're black, so it's okay if you can't really do this type of schoolwork. Yes, I've been said by that, not by a teacher, it has been by a student. So calm down. Um, but it was always that back end. It was like that. It's like a backhanded compliment. It's like, look, I know your life was hard, and I know it's going to be tough to get ahead, but you're dumb. You know, I mean, let's just be honest with it. If somebody can't do something at their grade level or at their age, especially when they're in that profession to a degree, um, it's embarrassing, and you should know better. And that's I would just be quite honest with you. It's I hold people that are close to me to a high standard, not higher than myself, because I find that very disrespectful. But I hold people to a standard because I aspire them to be better than they are. Um, I I I hope they aspire to be um, an individual, an actual person that, look, I'm able to do this. It's not going to be done right the first time. I'm going to figure it out the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, whatever, 50th time. You know, um, Thomas Edison over 1,000 tries to get something done, and yet nowadays, specifically within my culture, like I will hammer on my culture. I don't care too much to hammer on somebody else's culture, somebody else's race. It's not my game. But I always look at people like, hey, I think you can do better. Like, I think you're better than this. I think you're better than what people say. I think you're better than what you say. You can handle it. But specifically, I hear it constantly. And I'm going to be quite honest. I hear more insulting, backhanded compliments from people that are on the left, people that say they're liberals, people that are fighting for the BLM movement, people that are fighting for just Black Lives Matter, so on and so forth. I rarely hear it from anybody else unless they're actually racist. Like, oh, I didn't think your people could do this. I didn't think you were smart enough to do this. Like stuff like that. But like very just like they're so linear in their thoughts where I'm not insulted. I'm actually embarrassed for them because that means they were thinking this whole time that black people we're just mentally just cavemen still, like monkeys running out in the grass fields, kind of stuff. So I don't really get mad at people being like obvious racist because they it's linear thinking. It's not there's no growth to that. Like you're just set in your ways. You're that old turtle that won't move kind of thing. It's like I just whatever. As long as you stay in your field, I'm not gonna bother you, and you're just gonna miss all the nice things that are behind you that or beside you that you're just not gonna be able to look at because you're so stuck in your ways. Head in the sand, as it were. The other side is that I find a very problem with is that when I hear black people that say, well, these people are with me about how black people have it hard. I'm like, and I kid you not, like this actually happened where it's like, who said that like black people have it bad? Pointed group of Caucasian people, not mad at their race or anything like that. Like, just calm down. I don't really care what color you are. It's just for the to put a picture on this is they weren't black, they weren't mixed, they were just white, telling black people that their lives are just gonna be hard, and they have to fight to protect them to help them. And then I say, hey, what do you guys do for work? What's your lifestyle? Blah blah. And 6 people, 2 of them owned a house. I was like, how much is your house worth? Like, oh, it's worth, they're super happy to talk about their house. My house is worth $400,000, $470,000. And they're like, oh, did you do updates? Yeah, of course we redid the kitchen, blah, 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 roof and all this. I'm like, oh. The other 4, I'm like, so what do you do? They're like, oh, well, the basic stuff, the stuff I see happen on like YouTube, TikTok, even Snapchat. I get on Snapchat to kind of look at what's happening specific in cities since people like to do those short little videos. I find those very informative about what's happening even around my area. That's the only reason I'm on it because I don't know how to work Snapchat. I don't. I got on there. I was like, what the hell is this? And they're like, well, you can private message people. This was like 2 years ago when I picked it up, and it was like 3. Nah, whatever. It was years ago. Can't remember exactly, but my friend's like, yeah, you can just chat with people, and then the message goes away. I'm like, why the hell do I need to chat with people? But anyway, that's another story. But talked with the other ones. Another one has his rent. His parents are paying his rent. This is a 26-year-old male. Goes to school. I'll let you fill that blank in. I'm not going to fill in what he actually goes to school for because I don't want to try and narrow this down. The other 3 just, rent apartments. Parents help pay for this stuff. The last 3, their car insurance was on their parents. Their cell phone coverage was on their parents. And I was like, so you say that like black people have it hard? They're like, yeah, well, you guys aren't given opportunities, and it was like, it was a full list. It was a regular list that is always thrown around on the web, in person. These like when you go to these like, debates or discussions or just like open panels, stuff like that. Is I find it very, lack of a better word, sad that people have come to this realization that black people can't do anything. Black people aren't smart enough to figure stuff out. When I was actually going to school for art and I left, last a couple times to kind of see how it is downstate, to kind of like get a feel for like the cities, the inner cities, the art scene, and just like the nightlife scene, because I was all about like just the high energy, the highlights, the colors, the people, the culture, society. I like to get those types of people. Black people are super intelligent in a social like dynamic. I've seen guys that got into clubs for free because they knew how to drive, they knew how to do the walk, the talk, the eye contact, the hand gestures, that they knew that energy, that vibe, walking with some girls, blah, blah. I got into some clubs with some girls, and I looked like a broke art student back in my 20s. Those of you that are art people or know art people, you know what I'm saying. Value Village was and still is my best friend. They got great clothes there. Ain't gonna get mad about it. So it went to that side, and then some of them were able like manage bars. they had businesses outside the clubs to where it was like they had like these special water for like those that were like over drinking. Some of them were selling like sweaters, uh, you know, caps. That way, if it was cold, some were even like, hey, did you spill anything on your like lighter clothes? We can clean up right here, get you hammered out, all kinds of stuff. Just they are ready to make moves if they got the right atmosphere of people that are pushing them to do that. Once I get to like other areas of the town, that's when I saw it was a very sharp decline of black people on on the danger line rather than being on the black line. Like the black, obviously, P&L reports black is all good, red is dead. So people that were like black people that were like janitors, underpaid janitors, in my personal opinion. Again, I don't know what they actually knew about their job, if they were actually like certified in whatever kind of like cleaning, because there are degrees in janitorial work to where you can start getting paid hefty money if you can do hazmat, bio cleaning, stuff like that. If you know your profession, black people right now are put in a position of they don't have a profession, but then people aren't saying they can figure this out. Like nobody's giving them the pat on the back, the high five, the let me pull you up by your hand while you're putting your boots on. Like we can get to the next level. It is always a fight to keep them on the first stair. Uh, to where I'm not on the first stair, I'm not on the fifth stair, I'm not on the 10th. I do hold myself to a degree to where I am not going to be looked down on. Nobody's going to tell me what I can and can't do. I don't care if a job says you're not fit for this position. That's perfectly fine. They need somebody else. Fill the hole. Especially back when I needed a job, stuff like that. I'm fortunate that my business has taken off, but also, as I tell people, yes, it took off. I was working 12, 14, 20-hour days sometimes, very disheartedly, but better for me and my kids and my wife. But those are the things that I tell black people they can do. I show them what I've done, and I teach them what is probably better for them and for their success. And I tell people, like, how do you want to live? I want to be rich, movie star, blah, blah. I was like, well, you live in Alaska, you need to get out of here. And they're like, why aren't you out of here? I live within my means. I just need this amount. I can make that here. Now, I'm going to start doing, like, real estate. I want to get into, like, some, like, bigger business. I want to start doing, like, e-commerce, all this extra stuff. I can't live in Alaska. I can't start it here. Theoretically, I could, but it would be a lot easier, a lot faster, a lot less sacrifice in the long haul if I was to just go downstate, get everything mapped out, grind and whine, as I say. Whenever I grind, it is not fun. I get super pissed. I cuss like a sailor, but I keep trudging forward. But it's just those things where I talk to people. It's like, audio engineer, you should be going to Atlanta, Miami, I guess Texas, because all the people that are doing a lot of business growth, where you can do cinematography, videography, typography, type all kinds of stuff like that. California, nope, wouldn't go there. Personally, from what I've seen, what I've heard personally from Californians that have come to Alaska, nah. Seattle, another one. I don't know about that one. I got a couple people I know live there. It is what it is. Being a detailer, I know people pretty much in about 30 of the states in the United States, and I know people over in London, Europe regions, and South America, stuff like that. So I think that was it. South America, but I think it was the last one. Japan. I got a guy in Japan. Hard barrier to break on conversation, but those are just the things that I think people need to actually talk about. And as far as like the blacks in here in America, Don't listen to people that say you have it hard and that you're not going to be able to make it because of the systemic racism. That's the only way. That's what's keeping you in chains. My personal belief. I think that's what's keeping your mind in a chain. I think that's what's keeping your arms and legs just bound to the ground. Um, I've never seen. I'll put it to you this way: I've never seen a black man held back without his will to hold himself back in this day and age. Now, back in the day, yes, you had people that were against you. You had people that said, "Hey, if I can't go eat, you can't go eat." In this day and age where racism is not what it is, I don't know. I don't see how people can say, "Hey, this is still a crazy racist country." I'm not looking for Brad, John, or the Ku Klux Klan. Like, they're not coming by my house. Okay, I don't really worry about that. I worry about altercations I have had with minorities. I've been in more fistfights with black people than any other race, and it's because of the way I talk. I hold myself with. I have a lot of pride in myself. Sometimes it is way too much, but my wife checks me sometimes, and I tell her, hey, that might be right, might be wrong, but somebody has to say it. So I know we can do better, and we just need to stop listening to people that said we can't, or say, hey, you need to wait till they go away. It's not gonna happen. You gotta make your escape, and there's enough people that have made it by now that as soon as you break free, you're good. Like, you have good people, but you have to believe that. I think a lot of minorities need to believe that there's people out there that are gonna help them. I think that's a very big thing that keeps them back and keeps them bound, is that there's black people that are scared to jump when there's no one that's going to catch them. Um, Especially when a lot of them didn't have fathers. Me myself, I didn't have my real father. I was fortunate to have a stepdad that stepped up into that role. But I mean, I'll be honest, the damage is done when your dad will just kick you out as being a man, when your dad is willing to just like drop you off the cliff, and then you have to make your way back up with no knowledge, no skills, and no self-respect, because the person that you thought was going to love you and respect you just let you go. So I try to step in and fill that role as being a role model, a masculine role model, because I don't want them to fall into the drugs. I don't want them to fall into this crazy life of it's okay to not succeed. It's okay to do bad things because bad things has happened to you. I think that's a cop out. I think it's too available and it's too excusable. There's too many times that it's excused that a black person's attacked somebody because of slavery, systemic racism. There's always something to like guard them from. You're an asshole, and you need to stop doing that. So that's all I got.